Hello everyone, this is Jesse from Stories, Insights, and Weird Thoughts. Let's talk about movie remakes for a second, shall we? Over the past couple of years, Hollywood has felt inclined to remake older movies for full-on remakes, sequels, spin-offs, and so forth. Sometimes the remake of an older movie will do the original film justice, while other times, well, not so much. I'm looking at you, Total Recall. But the very question remains, though, is with certain films and television shows that have once been considered revolutionary or a cinematic masterpiece, it begs the question, should it be remade for the modern audience? That's the question we're going to ask today. Can an older movie that's been once known for its genius and technical design be remade for the modern audience and be well received? Today, let's look at Metropolis. Created in 1927 by Fritz Lang and his wife Via von Harbour for Universum Film AG, it was originally received with mixed reception. While it was praised for its technical design and scope, philosophical insights towards social class dichotomy and acting, many critics, including H.G. Wells, called it cliché, overly long, and rather silly. It didn't help that it was released the same year as Alex Crosland's The Jazz Singer, which took the spotlight from many movies as being one of the first films released with audible speech, aka a talkie film. However, the film would later be known as one of the best silent films ever made and currently holds a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is even after the many restoration projects to restore the film after being considered lost for years. The music has been rescored by several artists such as Giorgio Moroder and the New Pollutants. This actually begs the question, can the 1927 masterpiece Metropolis be remade for the modern audience? Well, it can be done, but it's going to be very difficult. I mean, it's just, to take something that's already considered by many to be perfect in almost every single way, and try reinventing it for a modern audience, it's going to be difficult. It doesn't matter what film it is. It could have been a movie that had sound, and a movie that did not have sound, and it'd be difficult regardless. I'm actually going to explain why trying to remake Metropolis would be difficult in today's standards over the course of this video. Please note that this is strictly opinional. After watching this video or halfway through this video, you can curse me out at any given moment. That's your opinion. But I'm honestly going to say why it would be almost impossible to remake this film. Let's take a look, shall we? The first hurdle that this movie would actually have to cross would be the sound boundary. To anyone who's actually seen this movie before, or at least heard of it, know that there is no dialogue whatsoever. For the most part, apart from the background score, this film is actually very silent. Hello, darkness, okay, cut that shit out. Damn 60s soft rock. Anyway, the problem with this movie is it might actually have been good at the time, or people might have been actually more inclined to actually read the title cards that are in the movie, but the problem is, nowadays people don't really like to read when they're watching a movie. Yeah, it's hard to believe. I mean, let's take a look at a scene from Metropolis that actually has two characters talking to each other, shall we? So yeah, as you can see, that could actually get a little annoying for modern audiences, where they would actually have to see a pop-up screen come up every couple of minutes or so saying, oh, this character said this, or this character said that. I mean, most people did that in a modern movie, where they would just go, then that could actually become a problem. I mean, no one actually likes having little screens popping up in the middle of the movie saying what could have been easily said. There's also the fact that during this movie there have been a lot of sections where instead of doing something like an establishing shot, they've actually just put a little title card describing the area instead, like this. So the problem with the 1927 version is there are a lot of scenes where two characters are talking, but only one little title card will actually describe a fragment of the conversation at all, just to give an overall theme and overall tone, which might distray some viewers from the movie. But with that being said, remaking a silent film, it could be possible. I mean, recently we've seen the movie called The Artist actually succeed at it being a silent film and actually getting not only Academy Award success, but viewer and box office success. So it could be possible that this movie could be remade as a silent film, but it would be actually very difficult, all things considered. It would all depend on who the director is and how they shoot it. So, with that, let's talk about the effects, and both practical and otherwise, that would have to be used and or changed during this movie's production. Thanks to Eugene Shofton, who created many of the effects for this movie that would later be used in many other movies, such as Alfred Hitchcock's Blackmail and the later Lord of the Rings movies, it actually created the illusion that there was actually this giant city where people were actively walking through, using cameras on swings and mirror effects to give the illusion of people actually walking from point to point in the city. Also, the Mensch, the robot that was actually used in the movie, was actually sculpted by Walter Schultz Mittendorf, which was actually a full-body costume that looked realistic for the time. There have also been other special effects which actually made this movie look more realistic and actually set the tone for special effects in the future as well. But unfortunately, the problem is there has been some argument over the use of practical and special effects in modern cinema. While modern cinema has gotten a little better at combining both practical effects and special effects, I also feel that it would be too tempting for filmmakers to go, you know what, we don't need to make a practical effect version of the robot that replaces Maria. Let's do it all CGI, and we don't actually need to build any of these sets, let's just CGI it. I mean, it would be too tempting for the filmmakers to actually do that. So, with that in mind, it would actually be better that they restrict the use of special effects in this movie. They can use CGI for like the city shots or the hallucination effects that Freder Fredersen actually experiences in the movie when he first goes down to the worker city. But for the scenes that actually used practical effects in the original, such as the reveal at the Mensch in the lab setting, it has to be practical effects. That's the only way this movie will work, or a combination of both practical and CGI. That's it. Well, with that, let's also talk about the political ideas and social philosophy that's been used in this movie, because with any modern adaptation, that's going to change. While some see this movie as just another story about good and evil, it goes into the issue of division of social classes, primarily the wealthy and the working class. The working class forced to give themselves to endless toiling labor until they either died or collapsed from exhaustion. The symbolism of industry consuming mankind easily and how workers are easily replaced without second thought can be seen during the scene where Freder hallucinates that the workers are sacrificing themselves to Moloch. On the other hand, the wealthy elite who rule the city for all they can enjoy everything that life has to offer them without remorse. Freder, who is the son of a wealthy leader of Metropolis known as Joe Fredersen, leaves his paradise to go to the city of workers in pursuit of Maria, who he falls in love with at first sight. Discovering their plight, he decides to become the mediator of both the working class and the elite, which could be easily suggested to represent the unions at the current time. This can easily be seen as a parallel to the life of Jesus Christ, where Freder descends from his heaven-like city to be amongst the people despite the wills of his vengeful father. He falls in love with Maria, who could be seen as this movie's version of Mary Magdalene, who speaks out to the people to keep them unified in times of trouble and sorrow. He goes for a rebirth where he becomes the mediator of Maria's blessing. Later, when she's replaced by Rotwang's Maschinenmensch, she's portrayed as a manipulative woman who is comparable both visually and descriptively as the Whore of Babylon. But this is also in reference to the real working class struggles of the people at the time period. The only salvation that they found was through faith and waiting for things to get better through someone who would lead them out of time of trouble and sorrow. The blissful ignorance of the elite when it came to the working class can be seen through Freder during his first time going into the working city. Industry's control over the masses can be seen through Joe Fredersen's actions as well as the silent enforcement that they would use to keep the people under control through the Pinkerton agency. But could all these ideas actually be translated into modern cinema, just as it was back then? The answer is yes, clearly and blatantly yes. Over the recent years, it's been noted that the upper class has been growing more distant from the middle and lower classes, creating a divide amongst the people. While making a movie based off such as Metropolis, where it's actually already based on the division of social classes, the problem is in today's day and era, some Hollywood producer would probably say, oh, let's make it all about a revolution, let's avoid the complete overall message about unifying the two groups, but instead let's make it the middle and lower class overthrowing the elite class. So, while it can be done with some of the same ideas, it would be too easy for companies to actually change the ideas on the whole. Can the 1927 Metropolis be remade? Yes, but under certain conditions. Well, these are more or less my personal conditions, but it has to be done. Number one, it has to be a combination of both practical and special effects. So the reason behind this is the special effects back then were so amazing for the time, they actually made a play statue. Yeah, they made a statue of the Monumensch that Dr. Rotwang made. I mean, look at this. Look at this right here. They actually made a statue of a temporary special effect. Yeah, they only did that for RoboCop. If they were able to make a statue out of a special effect, that's an important thing to have in a movie. Don't change the design on that. You can use CGI for the people in the shot or the city scenes, but for the rest of it, stick to practical effects. The other thing is, while revolution does play a part in this movie, don't make it the central focus of the story. And lastly, and this is more of a personal thing, if you remake this movie, have Johnny Depp play Dr. Rotwang. I mean, look at the two of them. They look exactly the same. Okay, a little makeup is needed, but that's essentially it. Well, that's all I have for today. If you like this video, please check out my channel or subscribe, dealer's choice. You can also check out stories, insights, and weird thoughts at this link right here if you actually like what you see and you want to read some of the editorials or reviews or check out some more videos. Well, until next time, actually, let me end it like a 1927 silent film.